Thank you, Sanjay, and indeed. And I also want to express my appreciation for the opportunity to be here and speak to a group of this nature. What I intend to do in the next 10 minutes is talk about the subject matter of microelectronics and technology in the state of Texas and innovation, but not so much from the perspective of the technology itself, but more from the perspective of the venture capital industry and the companies that we have built and developed in this state over the course of the last 30 to 40 years. Texas has really been at the heart of electronics innovation. Of course, so has Silicon Valley, so has the state of Massachusetts, but Texas is right in the mix and has been a key contributor to the evolution of the high-tech industry and innovation in general in our country. I list a handful of companies here, not because they are unique in any way, other than perhaps the fact that I have been closely associated with all of them. I've worked for 4 of these organizations and was relatively close to Compaq at its earliest days. And these are just representative examples of what are dozens, maybe even hundreds of technology companies that have left their footprint on the state of Texas. Certainly Rich Templeton and earlier speakers have touched on Kilby's innovation of the integrated circuit, probably the most significant innovation of all. But Compaq really created the notion of portable computing. At Convex, affordable supercomputing. Tivoli here in Austin, Client Server Systems Administration. I'm currently with a company called Silicon Labs doing very interesting things in mixed signal IC solutions. All of these companies are Texas headquartered, and all of these organizations have made a meaningful societal impact. The IC, as we have touched on multiple times, really electronics in virtually everything. But we now have the notion of compute power and connectivity everywhere. We're carrying it in our cell phones. We're experiencing it now in aircraft. It's certainly going to make the home another office and an opportunity for our children to really have the ability to work virtually anywhere. Some of them may not consider that a terrifically good thing, but it is definitely becoming a wave of the future. I think the marriage of computing and communications is unquestionably one of the most significant accomplishments of the last century and is going to have a huge impact on how we live over the course of the next century. In Texas, as all this was unfolding, a very vibrant venture capital-based industry took shape. There are countless companies that have benefited from this. And we see, as a result, a legacy of terrific institutions, both in our state and an impact outside of our state. I really think, while not venture capital backed, TI and IBM in particular played instrumental roles here in Texas. Their alumni were generally the people who formed the then early stage companies that were provided capital from firms like Seven Rosen in Dallas and Austin Ventures here in our own city. A number of great companies emerged. MOSTEC was one of the earliest, a semiconductor company founded by LJ7 in Dallas, Convex behind that. Compaq, BMC in Houston, certainly Tivoli. We have National Instruments and its founder here today, Silicon Labs in Austin. A great number of significant institutions that have contributed to our society, also have contributed to our economy. And I think these are important developments for the state and for our major municipalities. Going forward, I think we continue to have, as others have expressed, just a wealth of opportunity. The area of smart energy is certainly a critical one. I think here we have the opportunity to communicate to not only utilities, but ultimately also to us as consumers, exactly the usage of energy that we are experiencing and how to manage it more effectively. We see today a smart grid evolving where the meters that provide you with information ultimately about water, gas, and electrical usage. Currently, these devices communicate principally with the utilities. In the future, with effective semiconductor technology, you will see these meters actually communicating to you in your home and telling you how you're using energy and how to use it more effectively. Cloud computing is another new and emerging area that is going to require significantly more bandwidth, interesting infrastructure solutions, and the ability to manage data in a secure fashion. This is yet the next wave of computing that I think is going to provide us with more of this notion of connectivity everywhere and ever more powerful, more miniature devices. Healthcare, another area that we think is going to benefit from innovation from a microelectronics point of view. And we see portable and more miniature devices being absolutely essential to improving the experience of an aging population and also providing completely new forms of treatment and care for the next generation of people on the planet. And there are many more. We have, security, home automation, smart sensors, and I think the list goes on. So while we have certainly enjoyed a tremendous century of innovation in technology, I would concur, with Sanjay that this is more a introduction to a next chapter than at all the end. There are, however, some significant barriers. I think one of the more interesting ones to me is that the U.S. faces, perhaps for the first time, true competition. Texas has always competed with California, Massachusetts, and other regions in the country. But today, we're seeing legitimate competition from China, Taiwan, India, and other locations around the globe who, frankly, are graduating more students in science and engineering than we are, and in some cases, dramatically more. Even the talent that we have often educated here in the United States from some of these countries are no longer remaining in the U.S. necessarily, but we see many willing to return home and take their expertise and build companies and build businesses in their local communities. So we have legitimate challenge, and it is not fair to think that the U.S. is the declared winner, because we will have to, as Rich indicated at lunch, compete for superiority in this area, and it is going to be a difficult competition. We also have some governmental barriers that did not always exist in terms of tax policy, increasing levels of financial regulation in the area of visa policy, evolutions of government policy over the course of the last 20 or 30 years that are not necessarily encouraging for innovation and are barriers to the venture capital-based industries that we have created. I would claim that today, in many respects, the venture capital model is broken. We have just not had anywhere near a sufficient number of initial public offerings over the course of the last 10 years, a paltry sum compared to the previous decade. And part of that is because, frankly, it's not a lot of fun to be a public company any longer. And many of the entrepreneurs or would-be entrepreneurs are looking for other things to do because we have made it difficult to succeed in this space. But it's not an all-is-lost situation by any means. Money is still available. In fact, if you look at the chart, you'll see that the amount of money being invested by the venture capital industry is not at all inconsistent with what it was before the so-called dot-com bubble, and is at a very healthy rate. There are willing entrepreneurs. We meet them every day. There are a large number of people who are willing and able to start young companies and also have the ideas that can transfer technology into products and build real companies. So I think our track record of success will serve us well, and more exciting new companies will come, and the future continues to be very bright. Not without its challenges, but we have a lot of work to do. Thank you.